right, boys. Kurt, we got NHL playoffs coming up, buddy.
Yeah, I was watching that Islanders Bruins game last night because obviously there's implications to who the Capitals would play. So then after the game, I go on Twitter and all I see is first game in Washington, May 15th. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, there's still three regular season games the Canucks and the Flames have to play. Like they're playing regular season games until next Wednesday, but the playoffs have already started and the regular season will still be going on. So I was super confused. I mean, I'm glad they're starting it because is anyone really going to watch those games? Like they don't mean anything. And obviously, the faster we get to playoffs, it's just more exciting hockey, right? But it just really caught me off guard. I didn't think they would start it that soon, but I can't wait.
Yeah, I doubt that. Like if the North is set by the time that those games come around next week for Vancouver, I doubt they'll even play them.
But that would have implications for like the lottery and stuff, right?
Right, but didn't they
I
do that last year where the teams that when they came back, the teams that were like already they went to they just went to playoffs, right? Because and not all the teams have played the same amount of games because the teams were already eliminated and was no
yeah,
point to come back play two
good call.
weeks. So I mean,
Yeah,
I doubt they even play.
I'm really not sure how they would do that or like why they would even finish that. Just with everything the Canucks have been through too, with that huge COVID to make them have to play. I think it is they had like three back to backs in three different time zones. However, it worked out. It wasn't ideal, and then they had three games in like 4 nights on that week. So it wouldn't really make sense. And if the point difference like I don't think they would even it wouldn't make a difference really. And like you said, that happened last year where those teams came back. They didn't even play. Like it was just
Yeah.
the teams that went to the bubble. So
Yeah, like
yeah,
some
we'll have to
teams had
see.
only played 60 something games, right?
But then
Where others had played in the 70s.
they announced today time changes for those games. So it makes me think
That's
they
weird.
will play. I know, just that is really weird. But anyways, playoff hockey this Saturday. Exciting stuff.
It is exciting stuff. It's been a week since we did our MLB all-time team, and I took Wally Backman as my manager. And you know what? I was scouring the internet, and I found another great clip of Wally Backman during that season on the TV show Playing for Peanuts, and it's just fantastic. He's angry with the way his team has been playing, the style in which they've been playing, and he unloads on them and let's just give it a listen because it's one of the best rants you'll ever see a coach give to his team.
I'll tell you guys something right fucking now. It's not easy to be a fucking champion, all right? It's the hardest fucking thing there is to do. The only way you can be a fucking champion is if you work your fucking ass off. I had two motherfuckers in game one in a starting lineup. Two guys that took fucking batting practice. And that's it. You're playing a fucking team that's gonna fucking kick the shit out of you if you don't work. Two fucking guys. Are you guys that fucking good? You're not. I'll tell you that right the fuck now. You're not that fucking good. You don't work for it, you can't get it. I'm sick and fucking tired of it. You guys will fucking, everybody will be here tomorrow at 1 o'clock for batting practice. You'll fucking hit. Pitchers, Jesus fucking Christ. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3 fucking 1. You got the fucking hitters and fastball counts all day long. Fucking wise up. Don't be fucking scared. Because it looks like you're a bunch of cunts out there the way you're throwing. It's bullshit. It's a fucking team effort. Do it. Get together and be a fucking team. Pick each other up. For God's sakes, not to take fucking batting practice against a fucking team you're going to have to play in the championships. Well, they've got the fucking momentum. If you work for it, you can beat them. But you got to work for it. If you don't work, you're throwing the whole fucking year away. The last fucking week, two of the guys that fucking hit, fucking 39-year-old Desi Wilson, playing the fucking big leagues. You other motherfuckers haven't played in the big leagues. He's 30 fucking 9 and he's working still. Kick it in the fucking ass. Buddy, go ahead and say what the fuck you want to say.
That's an all-time clip.
I mean, if that doesn't get you going there and ready for the next game, I don't know what will. Also, I just want to say, Wally Backman, that's such a baseball name.
Oh yeah,
Like that's a
Wally
perfect
Backman.
baseball name.
And when you hear the name, you know exactly what he's all about. He's about showing up to the ballpark. He's about the fundamentals. He's about having beers. He's about ripping darts, and he's just a man's man.
Just an
And he'll
old school baseball guy.
old school baseball guy. And if you're not playing the way he wants you to play, you're gonna hear about it. And
Absolutely.
he's gonna tell you that you're not that good at the game that you're playing. And I just love it. Like that's the attitude I want out of my manager.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly how my manager needs to come into the room.
actually, I was watching. We're gonna get into baseball here in a second. But I was watching the game last night. It was the Braves were playing, or no, it was sorry, the Astros were playing the Angels, and they were talking about an interesting play that happened in a Cubs game with Anthony Rizzo, and how so it's first and third extra innings. Okay, bottom of extra, whatever inning it was the bottom half. The ball is hit to Anthony Rizzo at first. Anthony Rizzo fields the ball, and his foot is maybe 3 inches away from first base, but he doesn't touch first base. He instead throws it to second to go for the double play. What happens is he throws it to second. Javier Baez tags the runner rather than stepping on second base. And then he thinks the inning is over because he thinks Anthony Rizzo touched first base first. Now, they said the interesting thing was they talked to multiple different managers, some in the Hall of Fame, some currently managing right now. And they asked, I think, three of them. All three of them gave a different answer of what he should have done. One said he should have just thrown home because when Javier Baez tagged him, there was only 2 outs now, and the run scored, and that was the end of the game. So one said throw home, get the runner at home plate. The next one said he did the right thing by going to second without touching first. And the third one said he should have touched first and then thrown it to second. Now, the problem is if you touch first, throw it to second, now the force is off, right? So if the run crosses the plate before that runner going to second is tagged, the run counts. So it's just very interesting how you can look at the game of baseball different ways and they all make sense in to an equal amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we talk about this a lot on and off the air, but baseball has got to be the most heads up and like just constantly thinking sport. Like
Yeah.
I always say like you cannot be dumb and be successful at baseball because like you just laid out, there are so many different things that happen so quick in the course of a baseball game defensively when it comes to hitters count, where you can put that ball, where your runners are, how do you bring that, like, you know what I mean? That sack
Right.
bunt, so many different options. And like, you can't just swing at a ball and hit it. You can't just pick up a ball and throw to a base. Things are happening all around. So if you're not like if you can't follow it and can't constantly think while you're playing, you're not going to be successful. And that's the best part about it, I think. Like, that's why I love it in a sense, because yeah, that's what separates the elite players from just the okay baseball players.
Well, it's one of the elite. It's one of the fundamentals of the game is to before the play even happens to be calling out where are we going with it, right? If it's hit to you, where are you going with the ball? You see it in Little League all the time, and I'm sure they still do it. I'm not sure if they do it in Major League because I'm sure professional baseball players understand situations and where they're going to go with the ball. But yeah, it's just interesting that you can ask three different guys who manage to obviously know the game very well, and they all come up with three different answers on how you attack that play.
That's pretty neat though to see.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so before we actually came on air, I saw a story. This is a pretty interesting one. So I
Okay.
think it was Jeff Passan said that the MLB took, like, basically, obviously, if you guys follow the Oakland Athletics, they don't have the best stadium in baseball. So they were instructed to explore possible relocation options if they couldn't change stadiums like in Oakland or
Mhm.
something like that. So I thought that was really interesting because they've been around. They're a pretty historic team. They've been around for a while.
Right.
And that's, yeah, their stadium has been around for a while as well. So that's an interesting one. And I immediately saw all people on Twitter, Montreal, Montreal. But a more realistic option they were discussing was Vegas. And I think baseball in Vegas, now that would be something. That would be pretty neat.
Now Vegas is a big baseball town, really.
Yeah.
When you think about like the players that come out of Nevada, there's a lot of them. Greg
They have
Maddux,
AAA there, right? They have a few, they've had a few, isn't that the
right?
Jays? The Jays was there.
They may have used to be.
They used to, I threw before they
Yeah.
were in Buffalo, I think, or yeah, they were. I'll look that up. But
Yeah, you look that
yeah,
up.
yeah. But no, I'm pretty sure, like you said, they've had tons of guys come out of there, and I'm pretty sure they've had minor league baseball for a long time.
Well, you look at some of the players that have come out of the state of Nevada. Bryce Harper, Chris Bryant, Greg Maddux. There's actually a great video of Chris Bryant. I don't know if he's doing a commercial or he's just like getting in work. But somebody filmed. He must have been doing a commercial because they had a film crew there, and they dressed Greg Maddux up in this like elaborate outfit just to look like a sound guy. And he got in there and started throwing pitches to Chris Bryant. And Chris Bryant was like, actually, this sound guy's like pretty good at pitching. And then he eventually like takes off the beard and everything. He's like, oh shit, Greg Maddux.
Okay, of course. I just looked it up. So this is what I knew that it was formerly a Jays AAA affiliate, which was the Las Vegas 51s. Remember they had like that alien logo? Obviously, Nevada. I like the reference there. But then now, coincidentally enough, that's Oakland's AAA affiliate, the Las Vegas Aviators.
Las Vegas Aviators. Well, this debate has happened between sports fans for a while of can you really put a team in Las Vegas because like do people go to Vegas to watch sporting events is basically the argument. Um the Raiders are there now, and if the
Obviously, then
NFL thinks it's good enough for have a football team there,
yeah.
I'm sure a baseball team could go there.
But also like if you're an owner and you buy it like a sports team or you relocate it to there, does it really matter as long as people show up? Obviously, I personally, me and you probably, I want a passionate fan base. Like I don't want just anyone going to my games. Like you'd rather have your own fans, but like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Vegas, probably a lot of tourists, probably a lot of non-locals, like people from other
Right.
states. Like they're just there for obviously all the extra stuff that comes with Vegas, right?
Right.
It's one of the best, if not the best, tourist spots in the U.S.
Right.
So I get what you're saying, but like if I'm an owner and the opportunity is there, you're probably going to have people coming to each game no matter what, because it's something else to do while you're there.
Now I've heard people, and obviously people want Montreal to get a team. Now I have an idea. Okay, I want to run this by you. I developed this idea a while ago. So
you developed it?
I developed it. I got out the whiteboard and I said, let me figure out the logistics of this, revenues. I'm breaking it down.
Interesting.
Math guy,
All right.
big math guy I am. All right. The Jays they announced that there are plans. I don't know if they announced it or it got leaked, but there are plans to build a new stadium for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yep, they need it.
Right. They do need it. So my theory was this. Let's say the Toronto Blue Jays finish up a season and they go, we are going to start construction on a new stadium. Okay.
Oh, I know where you're going with this. Okay.
Now, they have prime location where the Rogers Center is. I don't know where else they would build it. If I was building the team, I would build it right on the water.
Yeah, so that's what they're saying. They said they want to go a little more lakeside, which that's cool. I think that'd be awesome. Cool. You have a good opportunity there. You're still obviously right near the tower. Right. So like I think that'd be perfect. But the thing about the Rogers Center that they have to take into consideration, obviously you've probably taken the train down and got off, walked 2 feet, and you're there. You're in the building, right? So it's really easy for a lot of people to get there. So I think you'd have to make sure that it's really accessible because that's a big selling point, or it makes it a lot easier for people to get there. So if it's down by the lake, they might have to make some changes, but I still think that location would be prime. Like that would be a great spot.
The also big logistical problem with building a stadium downtown Toronto, what do you do with all that concrete that's in the Rogers Center right now? Like, do you
Yeah.
repurpose the stadium? What do you do? But here's my theory. So, Jays build a new stadium. They have prime location already with the Rogers Center. So, what do you do if you're the Jays? For the next season, you go and you play in Montreal.
You'd have to
Now,
think it'd
what
be a
does this
couple
do?
of years, right?
It would be a couple years. What does this do? A, it gives the Jays a big league uh, stadium, meaning, they're not going to be playing in Buffalo. They're going to have
Yeah.
40,000 in excess of people showing up to the
I
games.
mean, they'd have to make upgrades, and it is outdated
Right.
now, but I know what you're saying. I totally agree. Like, that's a lot
Right.
better option than playing in a AAA stadium or
Right.
a spring training facility, even though they do have one of the best, if not the best, spring training facility in the MLB.
Yeah, it's been renovated and it's very nice now. So you go to Montreal, you play there a couple years while you are building the stadium back in Toronto. Now, what does the MLB get out of this? Basically, it gives the fans in Montreal a tryout. Can you support a major league team like the Toronto Blue Jays for possibly 2 years, maybe longer? If they see that attendance is slipping, and by the time that they build this new stadium, the Jays should actually be very competitive.
Yeah.
So the question will be, can they support a team that is competitive at a major league level? Can they get 40,000 people showing up every night to watch the Blue Jays or somewhere around that? It's a tryout for them. When the stadium is built completely back in Toronto, the Jays move back to Toronto into their new stadium. Okay. So now can Montreal support a major league team? You gave it a 2-year tryout, which is, I think, a good sample size. You then got a new stadium in Toronto with prime location, and there is a financial gain to this because I believe that fans in Montreal will be so excited to have Major League Baseball back in town that they will come in large groups to these games.
Yeah.
That they will sell out these games. You see it when the Jays go to Montreal for 2 games usually 2 or 3 games at the end of spring training every year. They sell out the place. So there will be the financial side of that where people will be excited. They want to show up, blah, 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 blah. Fans in Toronto, once the team comes back, it'll be the exact same. They will be excited to have Major League Baseball back in town, and they'll have the new stadium. They want to go see it. They want to experience it. So the Jays basically get the best of both sides, where they go to Montreal, they sell out that stadium because people are excited to have them back. Then they go to Toronto, they sell out that stadium because people are excited to have them back. Literally, from a financial side, from the league side, from the Blue Jays side, I think it works tremendously.
You've had a lot of takes on this show. That is definitely one of your better ones. I agree. The only thing when that's all said and done, they would have to do, they still have to put a new stadium in Montreal.
Yeah.
But that's fine because the Jays leave, the MLB goes, yeah, you can sustain a team. The Rays move there in 2 years. Obviously I'm just giving you an example because that seems like a reasonable team to move. Maybe they'll expand at that point. I don't know. That's many years down the road. But so then you have 2 years to make that new stadium that people will come to love because it's, like you said, it's a great marketing tactic and like a tryout. And I think they will easily be able to sustain a team again. Now they know that baseball will be coming back. I think it's perfect. And obviously I'd love to have another team in Canada. And then the Jays have this brand new stadium. Fans haven't been able to see the team in how many years? They'll be ecstatic. So you have 2 almost new, fresh markets that can sustain teams. I think it's good. If they can somehow, the Jays, they'd have to upgrade that Montreal stadium to play slightly, but like at least it is a major league facility. It is quite outdated because that's been the knock on Montreal. They've said the last few years that stadium needs to be renovated, or not even renovated, like probably a new stadium to have a new team there.
Right.
But I think, like I said, once they can sustain it for a year, 2, yeah, you get that construction started because I definitely think it's only a matter of time before Montreal gets another opportunity.
Well, Tampa Bay, they proposed an idea a couple seasons ago, which I mean, it's a terrible idea, but it was to play half their home games in Montreal for basically the first half of the season, and then play the second half of their season in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And the league was like, "You're not doing that. That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard."
I mean, it
Um,
kind of is, but
but for Oakland, another place, I mean, we're on the Canadian trend here. Mariners fans might get a little angry at this. What about
I know.
Vancouver?
Yeah, that's another team that's always had minor league baseball, and I think they're in the same boat. Like they could sustain a team as well, but it's tough to tell with those. That's an untraditional market, right?
Right.
That's almost like a hockey move where you try and force these untraditional markets, but it's not really because look at all the baseball players that come out of BC,
Right.
right? Like there's so many, most Canadian players seems like come out of BC. So
Mhm.
yeah, we could call it untraditional baseball market, but I don't think it is really because when it comes to Canadian baseball, that's kind of the focal point. Like that's where the best players come out of. So
Well,
that's another option, I guess, if we're talking Canada.
right. Well, and the other thing is that when the Jays go and play in Seattle, how many Blue Jays fans are there?
Yeah, there's
Half the
tons.
stadium is Blue Jays fans.
Yeah, so that you're giving them a team of their own.
Yeah, basically.
But at the same time, you got to take into consideration. I wonder if the Blue Jays would have anything to say about adding like more Canadian teams. I think they'd be fine with it because Montreal is not really like they're far enough away. It's not going to impact the attendance of
Right.
Jays games.
Right. The only thing with a Vancouver team like say Oakland moving to Vancouver, Seattle would be very upset with that. Cuz Seattle already there's been rumors for years that they were going to relocate. In the 90s, it was a sure thing they were going to relocate until Edgar Martinez walked off, I think it was the Yankees. They
Yeah,
were for sure going to relocate and then people started showing up and they were like, "Holy fuck, like this team's amazing. We love it." So if you're a Mariners fan, thank Edgar Martinez that your team is still in that city. Like
yeah, but
there's been
that's
tons of relocation. Like the Giants were supposed to come to Toronto. Like
to
that was a huge one.
yeah. I'm certainly going to be keeping an eye on this because this is interesting. I think they'll find a solution. If it maybe it's a new stadium in Oakland, but I feel like they'll stay there. But Major League Baseball is the one thing in a while. Who was the last new team?
The um, the Rays, right?
Like I'm
Was
trying to
that the
think,
Rays?
Rays or was it Montreal to Washington?
It was Washington.
Yeah, like
I think it was Washington, yeah.
that's a while now. So
2004.
so like you got
Yeah,
to think every other team, every other sport has either changed cities with several teams or added new teams. So you got to
you're
think
right.
it's only a matter of time.
Well, the thing is that the like if the Raiders couldn't get a deal done, what is there to suggest that the Athletics will be able to get a deal done for a new stadium, meaning and stay in Oakland,
Yeah,
right?
because Oakland, the Raiders probably had a longer, like a more successful history, I guess. Maybe not. Like they just it seemed like that was a really strong fan base that if any could
Right.
have kept it there, it would have been them. But so yeah, maybe maybe that's just not a viable spot.
Well, they played in the Coliseum too, right?
Yeah.
That was a dump when they would go and play and like at the 50-yard line, they're running through dirt
Yeah.
because it's
It was kind
second
of
base.
funny. Yeah. It was kind of neat to see because it was so different. But like,
Right. It's kind of funny. It's funny,
yeah.
but
But anyways, what about another baseball story I guess we can get into? I don't know if you watched his I guess season debut, but Nate Pearson going back to AAA.
I think it's just he just needs more time, like just more time to work, get in innings. It he came back pretty fast, like off the injury, jumping kind of right back into MLB action. At how old is he? 22 years
20
old,
24 now.
24. Um,
So still
he,
really young.
yeah, I think this is just like a rehab assignment. Really, go down there, get some innings in, start feeling yourself, and when you're ready, come back up and you can help out the major league roster. What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, we talked about it before, pitching versus throwing. He just looked like he was throwing out there. That he
Yeah.
wasn't pitching like we've seen. The stats I've looked at it was like his walk rate compared to his minor league season in the last couple of years just wasn't even the same. Like he was just throwing balls all over the place, which happens because major league hitters are a lot tougher. So
Yeah.
yeah, I also don't think they wanted him to be up in the majors this fast. They were kind of forced based on the situation of how many injuries they've had
Right.
and the quality of starts they're getting. So I think this is where he should be he'll be back. I think maybe
By
a
the end of the
couple.
year.
Oh, easily. I think a couple
Yeah.
months, like
Yeah.
sooner. If he has a few more really good starts down there, he'll be back. Because
Yeah.
if anything, too, I want him working with Pete Walker, one of the better pitching coaches in the game. So you just got to work out a few more things, and I think he'll be back. But yeah, I'm not concerned or anything. He'll be fine.
Dude, I mean, we talked about it kind of at the start of the show, but coaching in baseball is so important. It's more important, I think. The only one that might be more important is football, just because you can call out the plays.
Yeah,
Um, so that might be more important, but not by much. Actual coaching the players, I don't think is. I think baseball it's more prevalent than anywhere else. Like actually honing their skills. You saw when J Hap was with the Jays. He was kind of, he's a fifth starter, whatever. He was okay. Um, Went to Pittsburgh. The pitching coach there, who's one of the best. I don't know if he's still there, but he was one of the best in the league at the time. Completely changed how J Hap pitched, and J Hap he's still pitching now, and he's an excellent pitcher. He's still very effective, and he's 38 years old or something like that. It's just so prevalent. Like, take another one, Christian Yelich,
yeah,
right? I forget if we talked about it on the show or not. Christian Yelich playing for the Marlins. He's an all right player. Like he was kind of underwhelming at times. He made it 270, 15 home runs, something like that. He then gets Barry Bonds as a hitting coach. They bring him in. And he talked about this drill that Barry had him do, where he said, I'm going to toss you the ball. I want you to hit the ball off of home plate. And he goes, what? He goes, I want you to hit the ball straight down and hit home plate. He goes, okay. Has him do it a couple times. Bang, bang, right off home plate. He goes, now I want you to hit it 6 inches in front of home plate. He goes, okay. Bang, bang. Now a foot. And they just got progressively further out from home plate. He goes, now I want you to take a full swing and drive this ball. So he's basically getting him to hit down on the ball, right?
yeah,
He hits this ball and it's a fucking rocket. He hits it so goddamn hard.
yeah. That's the thing
Next
too.
year, he goes to Milwaukee and he has an incredible year.
MVP.
Yeah.
But another example, I'm sure, like as Jays fans will know, what about Jose Bautista?
Yep.
They added that leg kick and kind of tinkered with his mechanics a tad, and he was the best hitter in baseball for 2 years, or at least the best power hitter in baseball, right?
Yeah.
So that just shows you how important for hitters and pitchers finding something. You just need a coach that can find something in those mechanics, just change it a tad. It makes so much of a difference. And you've seen
Right.
guys like Yelich go from a good player to the MVP.
Right.
So I totally agree. I think coaching in baseball, maybe like you said, play calling in football it's got to be actually that's definitely the most important thing.
Right.
But then because you have so many individual coaches in baseball too, working with different groups of guys. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's definitely up there. It's one of the most important in guess groups of coaches you could call it.
Right. I think when it comes to actually honing their skills, uh, baseball is I think you can see the differences in coaching,
I
like
think
the
it's
different levels
also
of coaching.
I think that's also too why it takes baseball players like pitchers especially so much longer to get to the majors and be effective. Like you don't see 18, 19-year-olds rarely, I'll say.
Very rare.
Very
Yeah.
rarely. You got like Nate Pearson's 24, and you'll say, what, 24? Like, but I don't get it. Like guys are superstars in hockey and basketball. It's not the same. Not the same at all. Like there's so much more you have to take in, so many levels you have to go through. So that's an example of why and how difficult it can be to
Right.
fine tune those little skills and get those mechanics to major league quality.
Because in baseball, players' primes are later. Like, look at Mike Trout. Mike Trout is having the best year of his career, and the guy's 30 years old.
I mean,
And
I
one
think
of the
he's
things they looked at was he's hitting down on the ball like Christian Yelich is. His launch angle is way down, but his average is way up. He's hitting more line drives.
I
Like,
think that guy's only had a prime.
yeah, like he's never had a down year,
No,
really.
it's actually crazy.
Yeah, it is wild. Let's move on to a little bit of hockey here. We got interesting story coming out of Buffalo. Jack Eichel says he's been upset with the organization regarding the handling of his injury. He feels that there is a disconnect between himself and the organization, and he says that he wants to be, or he will be ready for next year, wherever that may be.
Yeah,
Leaving a little hint
those
there.
those were the key words, wherever that may be. And I think if I'm the other, I'm trying to think who could make that trade. Well, we'll say there's probably 5 teams that won't because of salary cap and just
Yeah,
positional. So we'll say we'll say like 26 other teams. If that sounds
right.
about right. I would be calling the Sabres right now. If
Yep.
you've got picks to spare, if you've got prospects, Jack Eichel is a special player, and
Right.
let the bidding start because if he's available, guys
It's
like
gonna be
this do not
huge.
become available very often. So I'm
It,
lining up at the door trying to get Jack Eichel.
we've talked about it a little bit before. I think Arizona is a possible trade partner, like a Jacob Chikrin and like a Clayton Keller package. I think that's a fair package. Dollars
I
match up fairly
I
well. It's
wouldn't want to
something like
move.
that.
I wouldn't want to move Chikrin if I didn't have to. I
If you
think
didn't have to,
I'd rather package a couple guys like Schmaltz or Dvorak and Keller, other guys, and then a couple first or second or something like that. They got some other
right,
prospects too, like Barrett Hayton and stuff.
right.
Just try and keep that because Chikrin's he's been unbelievable this year. So I think they really like him. Another team that I think could make a move is LA. They've got so
Yep.
many prospects, and they've got some guys that are aging a little bit too. So there's going to be some spots available. But I think if you move, they got a lot of picks as well. Move some picks, couple of those really good prospects. You pair him up with, you got him and Byfield up the middle for the future. Wow, that could be dangerous.
It could be very, very dangerous. Um, People are gonna be mad at me that I say this. I would not be surprised if Kyle Dubas was picking up the phone. He was calling Buffalo right now. Not right now, but maybe this offseason. They hold on. They could put together a serious trade package for this guy. Like, you talk about prospects. I mean, the Leafs are not short on prospects. They got lots of prospects if they wanted to do this move. This is a home run. This is, if they were to do this, this would be swinging for the fences. This would be Golden State Warriors after going 73-9 and then signing Kevin Durant. It would be that level of, not that the Leafs are, they're not the greatest team ever potentially, but it is that level of, you have so much talent already and you're just going to add to it. Like, there is major packages that you could put together if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs for this guy. And yeah,
Yeah,
people are going to be like, oh, it's just another Leafs fan being like, in his dreams type thing. Hold on. William Nylander, that would be the first one. That would be the first part of this package. Then you have combinations of Nick Robertson, Timothy Liljegren, Amarov, Rodion Amarov. You have a lot of prospects. Kyle Dubas isn't afraid of trading draft picks either.
no,
It's
but
just interesting.
yeah, but like if we're going down that road, there's a lot of teams that could do that too. But then they go into the
Right.
salary. You have to move Tavares' contract. That's too much up the middle to have those guys. And then you won't be able to sign Hyman, and you'll lose Freddie, and you're giving up Nylander, and you're giving up a lot of your prospects. Like, just the salary cap from Toronto's perspective won't work very well. Like, technically, I could say the same thing. So Kuznetsov they talked about the other day, a news article came out how some people are a little upset about his attitude in Washington and that he in the offseason could become a trade like target, like he could be on the trading block. I could say, well, we could trade some prospects and picks and Evgeny Kuznetsov, and then the money works out. So there's our first line center replacement. If we
Right.
added prospects and maybe another winger and then 2 or 3, like 2 first
Right.
round picks or something, right? But then to make the money work is a little difficult because I think he makes like 3 or 4 million more than Nylander. But if you were
But
willing to let
if you
people
threw
like,
in like an Alex Kerfoot, now the
yeah,
money matches.
if you, or you also like, you'd have to let Hyman walk too. But I mean, it is Jack Eichel.
Right.
So I think those are the things you'd probably be willing to do.
It's just one of those things where potentially you could do it. But I think real ones, yeah, like you said, LA would be in on them. Arizona would be in on them.
The
There's
Rangers,
the Rangers. Yes,
that could
they
be
would
interesting.
definitely be in on them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another, just a team that is missing that
Minnesota.
start. Yeah. Imagine him and Kaprasov together.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
would be fun. That would be fun to see. But yeah, that's a development that we'll definitely have to pay attention to because he takes the team to another level. I know obviously Buffalo hasn't had the success, but he has not had an opportunity to play with anything like if he went to New York or even if you paired him with Byfield in the future in LA. Like those could be some lethal combinations.
Yeah, it whoever if he does get moved, now it has been released that he hasn't officially asked for a trade. But I don't like I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't, right? I think it's only a matter of time. Like the team's going nowhere.
Yeah.
You're in your prime or you're at least entering your prime. I would go somewhere where my talents are going to be actually useful, right? You're
He
actually going
looks
to
visibly frustrated too.
yeah.
Just the look when you see him in interviews now, every time you see him in an interview, just the look on his face, he doesn't look happy, just constantly frustrated. So
Right.
I think he gets moved, but
Yeah,
to where we'll have to see.
we'll have to see. Um there's another little story about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Freddie Andersen is supposed to be coming back for Wednesday's game um, in the season finale. I got to tell you, I mean, it doesn't matter now. Like they have the division wrapped up. They're going to finish first. You know, if they lose the game, they lose the game. Oh, well. Um, I would not go with Freddie Anderson in the playoffs.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to get your opinion on this. Like when I saw that story, I was like, does it really make a difference? It feels like it's Jack Campbell's job now, right? Unless something goes terribly wrong in the first 2 games, he probably starts that for that whole series, right? And
I would.
he goes the rest of the way until something went terribly wrong.
So the problem with Freddie Anderson is historically he has been a slow starter to seasons. Um, he was off for 6+ weeks. He's gone back. He's played 2 games, I believe, in the AHL, maybe 3. Didn't really look good in any of those. His first game back, he allowed 2 goals on 14 shots. I mean, it's just that you cannot because the guy is basically starting his season again. He's 6
Yeah.
weeks off. If he's a slow starter, you cannot have that guy going into the playoffs. If you are worried that he's going to have slow starts. The biggest thing about a goalie in the NHL is that not necessarily their play, but it's the confidence in which they give the team in front of them. When you have Freddie Andersen in net this year, the team plays much differently than when they have Jack Campbell in the net. The reasoning is because Freddie is always going to give up one goal he should have.
It,
Now, there's a lot of stretches where he doesn't do that, but there are goals that are scored that a NHL goalie probably shouldn't stop, but you see them stop a lot. You know what I mean?
I always describe Frederick Andersen as this. And I tell Leafs fans every time the playoffs come around, I said, Frederick Andersen has yet to prove in a series he can outplay the other team's goalie. He's a goalie, he won't lose you games, but he can't win you them either. That's the problem. Whenever you need that one save, when Boston, you're up 4-3 against Boston in the playoffs, they somehow find that fourth. It might not be his fault, but they somehow find it each time. He just can't outplay the other team's goalie. and he just doesn't win you the games. When a good goalie, a good team in the playoffs, they find a way. When you need a save, you get a save. In the clutch moments, the big games, the elimination games, a chance to eliminate the opponent, he just can't pull through and close the door. So I just say he won't lose you games, but he's also not going to win you games.
That was Grant Fuhr's whole game. Was he might give up 6 goals, but his team scored 7. So what does
Yeah.
it matter? Right? He never gave up that 7th goal. Freddie in the playoffs last year was different. I would say I would say the 2 years against Boston, he just didn't play. He just didn't play well enough. Against Columbus, he actually played pretty well. It was just one of those things where he wasn't better than Korpisalo and Merzlikins. Again, not saying he played bad. He just wasn't as good as they were.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that your team got shut out in the final game, but that's another story.
Yeah.
If I was Sheldon Keefe, I would not be starting Freddie Andersen in the playoffs.
I don't think they will. I think
I would have Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell is 16 or 17, 2-2.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to lose his job. I know, like, it's unfortunate that this is probably the end of Freddie as a Leaf, right? But
Yeah.
And that's just the way it worked out. Like, the best ability is availability, and he got hurt. You never like to see a guy lose his job because of that, but Campbell definitely played well enough to keep that role, and just the timing too. There's not enough time for Frederick to get back on track, so it'll be Jack Campbell starting game 1, and most likely, however far they go, it'll be Campbell in the crease unless an injury or something bad happens. Yeah, it'll be his crease to lose.
How I would run it is Campbell starts game 1, and then if he plays bad, you immediately go to Freddie.
Yeah.
If he plays bad, you immediately go to Riddick, and you just keep cycling them.
Just a short leash.
Very, very short leash. The Leafs have to win a round this year.
It's also like
to.
It's also your goalie isn't like Rask or Vasilevsky or Price. You don't owe it to any of them, right? Like it's whoever's playing best gets the job. Like no one has a Vezina on their resume, etc. Like I agree with you. It's got to be a short leash. You got to do what you got to do to win those games.
I wonder if it's ever been this way in the play. I'm sure it has been, but it's just interesting. You hear about goalies competing for jobs, right? You got 2 goalies who are of equal caliber and they're fighting it out and they're playing each other off to see who's going to be the starter. I wonder if that's ever happened in the playoffs.
Well,
because it very well could this year.
Yeah, well, I have a couple examples, but the one I use obviously as a Caps fan, Philip Grubauer started the first 2 games of the 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs against the Blue Jackets. Panarin scored an overtime winner, and maybe Matt Calvert or someone scored in game 2. They were up 2-0. We lost 2 home games. And we're sitting there thinking, like, what just happened?
Right.
I mean, a typical John Tortorella team, they came to play. They worked hard, right? But so we switched back to Braden Holtby, Vezina winner Braden Holtby. We won 4 straight, won the round, beat Pittsburgh in 6. Holtby, game 6 and 7 against the Lightning, shutouts in both. When we needed it most, conference finals, shutouts in both. And then obviously the huge save in the finals against the Knights, we won that in 5. Point being, you need 2 goalies a lot of the time. Look at the Penguins, the 2 years before, they used Matt Murray and Fleury in both playoffs. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't, just because someone starts the playoffs doesn't mean they'll finish. If you're not playing good enough, then you're not playing good enough. Right. So yeah, I agree with your point. I've seen it firsthand. Like, just because someone starts the game 1 doesn't mean they're going to end the playoffs as a starter. So you need everyone ready to go.
Very true. Let's get into some picks for Wednesday night. What do you got?
Let's do it. All right. I'm going to take the Wild over the Blues.
Okay.
I'm going to take the Athletics over the Red Sox. Man, the Red Sox have been good this year. So have the Athletics, but the Red Sox are they're looking real good. Best record in baseball, if I'm not mistaken. The Yankees are at Tampa Bay. I'm going to take the Rays.
Okay.
And I'm going to take the Utah Jazz over the Trailblazers.
Aren't the Jazz in first place?
Yep.
In the West.
Yeah, they look pretty good.
They're very good. I'm going to start on the ice. Give me the Vegas Golden Knights over the Sharks. If Vegas wins, I believe they clinch first place in that
Yep.
division.
President's
Uh,
Trophy.
there you go. And then I'm also going to take Colorado over Los Angeles. Now, we talked about just before the show, it's very interesting in that division. Basically, by the end of the year, you could have three um, different alignments in that division. So hypothetically, yeah, if Vegas was to win, they clinch that division and the President's Trophy. But the Colorado Avalanche are only 2 points behind the Vegas Golden Knights with a game in hand. So if Vegas was to lose that game against the Sharks and Colorado was to win their next two games, first being against Los Angeles, they would clinch that division and the President's Trophy. The other one is Minnesota, who they have the same amount of games remaining as Colorado, but they are only 3 points behind Colorado. So if Colorado loses both their games, Minnesota's in second place. It's very interesting how this can happen.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take.
Go ahead. Finish up.
Well, I was going to take Colorado against Los Angeles, and then I'm also going to take the Blue Jays against the Braves on Wednesday night. What were you going to say?
I like those picks, first of all. Second of all, yeah, there's still a lot to be decided. And hopefully when we record Thursday for Friday's show, we can let you guys all know what it's like, what all the series are. Hopefully they're finalized by then, because the playoffs are approaching fast. Saturday they start. So hopefully we can get a little preview in before then. But yeah, like you just laid out, a lot still to be decided, especially in the West there. So yeah, I'll be tuning into those for sure.
For sure. I want to thank everybody again for listening to Taking All Bets, episode 21. We will be back Friday with a potential NHL playoffs preview show.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. We'll see. So see you everybody on Friday.